All right, let's talk about an increase in auto insurance. This is being flagged by Kotak, Personal Injury Law. Nainesh Kotak joins us now. He's the founder of Kotak Personal Injury Law, and he's flagging that overall accident claims are still low, but our auto insurance rates are going up. We in Ontario pay the second highest car insurance premiums in Canada, Nainesh.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Look at the pandemic. The reality is it was actually provided a windfall to the Canadian, particularly the Ontario auto insurance industry. They have been making record profits. We know certainly there was less cars on the road, and even to this day, there's been less accidents. And if we look at stats going into 2021, their profit ratio was so high, I think since 1975, it's only happened, I think, twice where the profit ratio per premium paid was more, and that was in 2003 and 2004. Yet still, we have the FSRA, Financial Services Regulatory Authority, approving, again, rate increases for most insurers, some of them even as high as 10%. And Rashmi, if you actually look at the backdrop to our product, so in Ontario, we have a two-tier system. No Fault pays for basic income replacement benefits, maximum $400 a week. It hasn't changed since 1999, that amount. And some therapy up to $3,500 for what is they consider a minor injury, which most injuries insurance companies consider to be that. And then you have the tort, which is, you sue the other driver, but you've got now it's a $41,000, I believe, $800 deductible on the pain and suffering. So what's happened over the years, the product itself has been weakened. Those who were injured, those who were victims get less money, and insurance companies, in fact, make more money. In fact, so much so, there was a study done in 2020 by Professor Frederick Lazar, the Schulich Institute at York University, and he says that Ontario residents have, in fact, overpaid in excess of $5 billion between 2011 and 2017 for premiums. And then we do know, in fact, from 2017 to 2020, rates went up by 20%. And here we're seeing them go again. So in my opinion, we have a very broken system that is very one-sided in favor of the auto insurers, and obviously not responding well to the needs of the consumers. And let's remember this, auto insurance is like a tax. We have to have it. So we're paying for a product where we don't get much out of it, and we're overpaying for that product itself.
So the evidence is there. The premiums have been going up. They continue to go up. The demands on the insurers have actually come down through the pandemic. Sure, they're creeping back up, but they are not where they were. This is the kind of stuff that makes people say, well, the government needs to do something about this. The government has to fix this. So what do you say on that score?
Well, the lobby of the insurance industry is so strong that when governments do try to fix things or make some attempt, there's always that threat of increased premiums, which could bring down a government. And now we have an oversight body, the FSRA, who, in my view, they're there for accountability to the public. And they need to ensure that insurance companies are being more transparent. And in my personal opinion, I don't see that, in fact, happening. And particularly under the Wynne government, this is where we saw so many cuts. There were 17 separate cuts to the accident benefit regime between 2014 and 2017. And they put in this, for example, this secret deductible. And I say secret deductible. So if you get a pain and suffering award from a jury, the jury doesn't know that what they're giving you, you don't get. There's a $41,000 deductible. It goes up by inflation every year, so it's slightly above $41,000 that you don't even get. And this is what was done through the Wynne government. Now, the Ford government hasn't made changes to make things worse, but the hope is that they will look at all this and realize, look, the pendulum has swung too far in terms of profit that insurance companies are making, and too far away from helping those who have been hurt. And maybe it's time to revamp the system. Maybe it's time to have things a little bit more in favor. Listen, insurance companies have to make a profit. They're in business to make a profit. I think we all understand that. Every business should. But when it goes too much to become gouging, to become not transparent, I think something needs to be done. And obviously, it's the government that would need to step in and revamp the system, or at least tinker with it in a more favorable way to accident victims and to the taxpayer.
And so what you're flagging here, Nainesh, is that the province has essentially made it easier for these insurance companies to not pay out when your case goes to court if you are awarded any sort of financial compensation there. But then also that the Financial Services Regulatory Authority of Ontario should be auditing these insurance companies, but instead, over the last few months, approved rate increases.
If you look at the FSRA website, often they sort of pay lip service and brag about different insurance companies giving a rebate during the pandemic and all that. Reality is, overall, premiums went up by $198 million in 2020, right, the height of the pandemic. So I think, yes, if they do things like rebates, you can publicize that, but at the same time, we need to make insurance companies more transparent. They need to make a profit, but at a certain point in time, that profit becomes too excessive on the back of the consumer, who is forced to buy this insurance because we have to have it, and rightly so. We need it. Yeah. But let's be fair in terms of how much is paid in terms of premiums and the quality of the benefit that's given out. If a jury cannot be told, hey, whatever you give, $41,000 is going to be taken away and kept by the insurance company and not given to an accident victim, doesn't that tell you something is wrong? Why is this being hidden? I mean, clearly something's wrong, needs to be dealt with.
Well, that's an excellent point. And we're speaking with Nainesh Kotak of Kotak Personal Injury Law. The deductible thing, that is troubling. That does seem like kind of a back door there. But to devil's advocate on the other side, and don't get me wrong, I'm not overjoyed about increases in auto insurance. But if you look at the numbers that FSRA, the Financial Services Regulatory Authority, has approved, because it is a regulated sector, so they have to sign off on these increases. For some of the major companies, one was 3.44%, another was 5%. There was an outlier that spiked up over 10%, but those aren't massive increases at face value. But then again, I guess when you look at some of the stats that Nainesh, you shared with us, if you look at the total number of claims between from 2017 to 2021, they actually declined by 200,000 claims, offset by the pandemic. So where's the benefit coming out of that, I guess, is the question.
Exactly. If it doesn't matter if you're approving 2% to 10%, why are they being approved if there's no transparency? They're not providing, opening up their own books. And why are these increases being continually allowed? And they were allowed over the pandemic itself, in particularly in 2020, when people were parked. People were told, "Hey, put your car on fire and theft, and then we'll give you rebates," things like that. Mm-hmm. So great. Why give the increase at all? But the fact is, it's happening, and it particularly happened a lot before the pandemic. That gave rise to our high premiums now and the excess profits. Benefits were taken away. And these are independent studies. The one I've cited, from the Canadian Property and Casualty Insurance Compensation Corporation, they say outright that, the profit ratio to loss was, this was unbelievable. It's been the best recorded since, they say, 2006, and only 2003, 2004 did the industry post higher return on equity. So they are making money, they sometimes find ways. Okay, we put things over, like, any corporation, put this over to next year, put this over to here, put this over to there. But according to Fred Lazar, their report, the reality is, the insurers make so much money in Ontario from our bodily injury and accident benefit related premiums. They use that money to finance their property and casualty business throughout the entire country. So here, Ontario policyholders, premium payers, are paying for profits that are going to fund elsewhere in the country where they may not be doing so good.
Nainesh, this is a very important conversation. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Nainesh Kotak, founder of Kotak Personal Injury Law.